Good evening, everyone. It's great to have you all here to discuss the district's bond referendum. And I'm Dr. Antoine Sutton, the district superintendent. Now, please forgive me that I won't be able to stand tonight, but I'm here. So, got a high chair, so hopefully everybody can see me and hear me well. We'll go ahead and get started because I won't be cognizant of everybody's time, and I don't want the gateway staff to kick us out of here. So we're going to go ahead and move through our presentation this evening. I'll first start with some introductions of board members and district staff before we go into a brief overview of the presentation. So I'll start with our board members. We have Mr. Doug Shannon, board chair, Mr. Jen Fuller, board member, Ms. Brenda Ford, Ms. Maggie James. District staff, we have our chief officers. We have Ms. Melanie Jeanette, chief finance officer, Ms. Denise Khalid, chief academic officer, Dr. Will Pickens, Chief Administrative Services Officer, and Mr. Wendell Sumter, Chief HR Officer. We also have Mr. Chris Kristoff, who's back reporting. He's our Director of Marketing and Communications. We also have all administrators from the district and district staff. Please raise your hands. District staff, how many hands? Thank you all for being here as well. Definitely thank you all from the community public for being here as well, just to come out. And this is our last referendum that we will hold as a district to. And the key thing from having this is to clear up anything any misinformation that's out there. We've already been through the projects over the past several months of various meetings we've had, other town halls. So we want to have this one just to see clarity. Anything that's still you're unsure of, unclear of, that's what the purpose of this meeting is for. So what we'll do, our items for our agenda items will, of course, the introductions. I'll give a brief overview of all the projects. I won't go through the entire presentation, which we've done at all of our other events. This is just a quick overview of what the projects are in the referendum, and then we'll go into questions and feedback time because we have to kind of stick with this an hour time frame being here this evening. So and we'll have some closing remarks at that point. So I'll jump right into it. Y'all just follow along with me. Again, when you look at our goals for our improvement, our capital improvements plan is to continue to have an aggressive maintenance program for the district and for all of our existing facilities, maintaining our K-12 offerings in each of the district attendance zones. That's what this plan will do. It will ensure that all 3 areas have their current programs and possibly even others with additional spaces and things that will happen, that could occur if the referendum does pass. We'll renovate or replace facilities where needed. Constructing new additions to schools to alleviate the growth. As you know, that's a key thing that will be within the Louisville area. One of those what the plan will be to add on rooms to Louisville Elementary School, so the 5th graders will be able to move back to Louisville Elementary, which frees up space at the middle school right now. Because right now the 5th graders occupy an entire hallway at the middle school. So once they're able to be moved back, Louisville Middle School will have that room for growth on this campus. All right, so again, I'll do a brief overview of the projects again. This is the Great Falls area. And you have here, as we mentioned, this will come with modifying the front office area, moving from the side. Because currently you have the main office is right here. Currently, the main office will be moved to this area here. And those areas where the current main offices will become classroom for that school. We'll expand the cafeteria because it's a very odd-shaped cafeteria size, so we'll be expanded there. The gym will be restored to a fully functional gym. There's some spaces there now that will be removed and modified to allow for that gym to be fully functional as originally it was built for, as a fully functioning gym on that site. And of course, improvements to traffic and stacking for car rides. You all know if you're out there at any point at dismissal, the cars will be backed up on the highway and things in front of that school. So the change of layout here will allow for more stacking, which is more cars to line up for the car line at dismissal time and drop off at that school, at that site. And this is just a rendering of what the front entrance could look like at Great Falls Elementary School. And that main office space here will be right here where this area is right here. And this will also be able to close that campus. Right now, it's just you can walk on the campus and go right through here. And you see you have playground equipment there. You're right where our students are playing on the playground times. Again, the main office will be shifted over, and that area where the main office currently is will become classroom spaces. This is interior views of Great Falls Elementary School. As I mentioned, the gym will restore that stage there, will be restored to the gym there. All right, move on to the Great Falls High School campus. Okay. And here, numerous things will be done. The plan is to raise the current Great Falls High School, the original high school facility that is currently not being utilized right now, and we will build a new academic and athletic wing or facility on that in that existing space. We'll also install athletic fields there right now. Softball and those things are not on campus. They use those within the town of Great Falls. Those we will install fields on the Great Falls High School campus, and tennis courts there as well. The football area will have, of course, new press boxes, artificial turf, and seating in at the football stadium. That's the same with all three sites. And of course, if you over here, we will change the flow when you enter the Great Falls. When you go into the front of that school, we'll change the parking lot area there as well, and increase the stacking there on that site. So give you an idea of what the space will look like. And this is the front entrance. You know that the school currently does not have a fully secured entrance when you walk in. Once you're buzzed in, you're in the school. Before you get to the main office, you're already in a hallway. You can walk up and you can turn left or right, and you have access to students. So this will create, this plan will install security vestibule in the front of the current Great Falls High School entrance. And of course, it can't be there because that will become the drop-off car area for our students, parents to pick up students. And this is kind of a rendition of what the new facility, academic and athletic facility, will look like on the Great Falls High School campus. So, of course, that's the front entrance right now, currently. That will change to this view. That's what it will look like. Okay. Of course, this is the old high school that is not being utilized right now because of, a lot of the issues that exist there. The school has had been used now in 2 years, so the students grades 6 through 12 are in the current middle school building because they had the space there. So there will be other modifications also done to some science labs in the current middle school to allow for those courses that, for instruction for the high school level courses on the science labs there as well. This gives you an idea of that facility that this is not salvageable. The old high school, I think it's been there. It was Fort Gregory from was it 60, 68, the old high school?
The last class graduated in about 65.
From this high school?
No. It was built, the old elementary school was the old high school. And so when that became the elementary school, this was the high school. That was back, it's a 50s building, it's a bomb shelter.
Okay, so that's what that's the year that this building is 1950s building. Okay. Thank you. That's the gym in the old high school. All right, Louisville High School plan. And this comes with, of course, relocation of the softball field from behind the current Louisville High School site across the street on property that we currently own that will allow for the school to be built right behind the current high school and allow the school to remain in operation. Now, as I said, numerous town halls things that we've had. When I first came in 2020 and had met with community members in all three areas about the question I've asked, and even meetings I've had at the district office, I've asked what would need to be a part of this referendum in order for you to support it. That's the question I asked when I had these conversations. And the key thing for this community was to have a new Louisville High School. As you recall, the 2020 bond did not have a Louisville High School, a new facility to be constructed that had some renovations to it, an expansion of the cafeteria on it. So the huge thing for the community was a new high school. And so that's something that is part of this plan. And so just understand that, as I said before, we just didn't sit in the office and make these plans up. These came from conversations with community members And just because you may not have been a part of that, that doesn't mean we didn't do it. It's hard to meet with everybody that's in the entire county about a plan for a referendum. So, but we brought this, we pulled in things that community members said that would help us to pass the next time around when we try again. So, and again, should the school approximately end a part of the last one? Most likely because it's 1972, and Louisville High School, Chester High is 1974, when the schools were constructed. And so this will be a 2-story building. And again, when you look at the capacity 600, that doesn't mean that you only have 600 and max out you have to build up high school. No, that's you're looking at an ideal classroom size. That doesn't take into account 30 students in the classroom. If we went to 30 students in the classroom, that number increases. And there's also room on all of our school facilities that will allow for expansion when that's needed. Just kind of give you an idea of that again. So the athletic facilities, of course, as mentioned, will be built across, and the softball fields will be relocated. And again, the question was asked before, well, at the referendum, that question 2 fails, which is the athletic improvements. Will those softball fields not be? And that was a part of 1, because we have to relocate those fields in order to construct the new high school behind the current high school. And again, as mentioned, where the current high school is, that will eventually become the front parking lot, front parking area of the school. As mentioned, the same thing with the stadium. That's artificial turf there, new stadium seats, press box, those things. Same across the board, all 3 sites. At the elementary school, there's there will be an expansion there. There's also room for future growth there needed on that current site at Louisville Elementary. And we'll change the traffic flow there as well at the front of that school. This is kind of some views of the inside of the Louisville High School. All high schools would then have fully functional theater, competition gym, and auxiliary gym. That's standard in high schools to have 2 facilities. That also allows you to program. You can expand your program. You have your weight rooms there. You can have your wrestling programs and things that can utilize more practice spaces for various teams to practice at one time. Right now, everybody's on top of each other, trying to when can they use the space, those kinds of things. So having 2 gyms is something that's a standard in high schools to have that. There also be student commons areas that will allow students to work together. I was recently in Louisville High School back in March. We had students in the hallway on the floor trying to collaborate and work together. These new facilities will allow have that space carved out, called student commons area. The students can get together and work together when they're outside their classrooms. This is the 2nd floor. Again, it's a conceptual design of what the school could look like on the outside. And please understand that a lot of when you look at finishes, those are just put to have something to show people. But again, it doesn't mean that it's going to be exactly that layout of some sort as far as the finishing touches in a sense. That's something you start working on as a district, and community will have input on that based on your attendance area. Once the bond passes and you start that process, you will all then be involved in that if you desire to, on what color schemes or flooring, those kinds of things. The community will have to be a part of that process. Aerial view of what that site could look like. There's separate entries for the theater, for things that will be held in there. They won't have to walk into the main entrance of the school. It will have its own entrance where they won't have to walk and go through the entire building to get to one area there. Of course, that's the current front entrance of the school right now. And of course, with this plan, all mobile units will be removed from our campuses right now. As we know, the goal is to have all students in buildings, not have to go outside those things to use restrooms or come back and forth within the buildings. They will all be under one roof. Of course, our current classroom spaces, some of the tile issues in water issues in our schools. As you all know, if you've been through Louisville High School, you know the cafeteria is very, very small. I still don't know, I'd like to ask the builders from way, way back, why was the cafeteria built that size for a high school? I'm pretty sure they probably would say, well, the enrollment, the numbers were lower than, but this is very small cafeteria space. And right now, sites to work with the schedule, they have students, they pick their lunch up, they move to the gym right now to eat. So she's able to accommodate all of our students right now. There's the gym. All right, we're going to the Chester High School. Of course, then this site, the school will be moved to the site off of Highway 9 across the New York Tech campus. For this school, there will also have to be a site for the district career center as well. This is the layout of that facility. Well, this is the career center layout here. We'll also be able to expand some other programs here. We'll be able to offer in the new career center. It also has space for the adult ed. Now, that's the mobile units on the Chester High School site. So this area here, down below, that will be the district side of adult ed program with their own issues. That will be, they'll be able to control the access there. So they want to access the students for those who are in adult ed programs during the school day. We'll also have multi-purpose space here that can be utilized by the community, of course, in the district, of course, for various reasons. And the culinary program will be attached to that, of course, because again, that's key part of the Untitled Tourism program is to have students be able to prepare for events that are held here. And again, in the future, if events are held there, the students can be the ones preparing those meals and things for events held at the career center. This is an example of what the entrance will frontage will look like. Not saying it will be that green, but again, we put a color on that. Of course, the existing career center entrance. Shots there. What that current career center, a lot of you know, this facility's been here a very, very long time, and it's been through a lot. Interior classroom shots. This is the Chester High School first floor. Again, as in the other high schools, we also have an auxiliary gym, a competition gym. Same student common areas, as Louisville High School will have. Again, students know actually the size of it. Again, currently Chester High School has close to 800 students. Louisville High close to 400. The school has more, so again, we've been asked that, why is the school larger? It has to be because it currently has 800 students. We can't build smaller than Louisville High School. It currently has 800. So this school site, of course, right now, or the layout is 900, but again, that's that when you have a certain number, class number of students, it can take on more than that. You would just increase the class number of students in individual classroom to expand, to be able to have more students in the classroom. So it's kind of our ideal numbers of students we want to have in the classroom. And there's room for future expansion on this facility, on this site as well. Some aerial shot of what the high school would look like. See that athletic field behind, career center off to the right here. Front entrance. Support car area here. Of course, the mobile units. Some exterior doors and all classrooms there. Again, this is a huge safety and security issue at our schools, something that the bond passage would help to rectify that. Again, we know, I won't spend a lot of time on this, again, you know that we have two questions for the referendum. The question for the facilities itself, question one, amounts to $220 million for the actual facilities to be built. Question two are the athletics pieces of it, which is $43 million for a total of $263 on the entire referendum. So as you vote, in your option of voting for question one, you can't just vote for question two alone. So again, there are options there. If anyone would ask me right now today, if you say, well, keep the cost down some, I'll be good with question one makes it. And we could work on the athletic side of things at a later date. At a minimum, the definitely the huge thing here is the facilities themselves. Key for us. But again, two questions there, so you have those options. Of course, this is a copy of the questions. I'm pretty sure everyone's seen them. We actually have copies of those that are out in the hallway there where the ballot questions are. All right, so before I go on to the next section is on some fact checking. As we know, there are a lot of things swirling around on social media. Of course, we've been called about, asked about, emailed about. So I thought it would be helpful to have those here to go over those with everyone. And if we have copies out there as well, we have copies of, and that we'll go through those and we'll open up for questions or comments after that. So the first plan, town hall meetings reveal very few specifics, no cost for light heavy construction, site prep, or per square footage. Official explanations that construction costs are going up. That's a claim out there. The fact is, the current plan, of course, we've been transparent now. I can't say anything other than that we haven't been. Anyone who asks us questions, who's called us, we take time to meet with individuals. I don't know what else we could do. I don't get it where people say we haven't been being transparent. If it was something we didn't have when asked, we got that information and give it to those who have asked that. So all I can say, we have been transparent. And as you all know, I've said to you time and time again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you anything that's a lie. That goes to my character, my integrity as a person. I'm not going to sit here, because I'm literally sitting here, I'm standing now, and lie to you. That's not my intention to do that to anybody, to be deceptive in any way, shape, or form. Our plan, render sheets, other documents on our website. If something you don't have, contact us. Every time Mr. Kristoff, we will get you that information. So information's been out that we've had. We went through these presentations at town halls, at various civic and community organization meetings, but it's still being said we hadn't been being transparent.
Can we comment to that? Because it doesn't say on that you haven't been transparent. It just said there were very few specifics if you go back to the claim.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is a statement that I said directly to you, so I feel strongly about commenting back to you. I asked for it in February, the capital improvement parameters. And it was March the 23rd, March the 23rd, before I got them. The first 3 town halls, this is being the 4th, there was no capital improvement plan parameter there. It was not on the website.
It wasn't. You're correct.
And I think I read it in the paper that it was just recently given. So that fact check is misleading, saying that you haven't been transparent, because I do believe you. I think you ought to be able to sleep at night. So it was not a diss on you or the town hall. It was the fact that it was not available, and it's very few specific. So if you took offense, or whoever took offense to this, I hope that settles that.
Well, thank you. We didn't take offense. Just understand that we're getting hit all sides. I'll be coming out earlier, but again, when I'm reading some of these, again, I'm lumping in some things, other things. So not just this one thing. And again, I'm not calling anybody's name out, which I did. As y'all witness, I did not. She said it herself, but I'm not here to call anybody's name out. I'm just putting out what's out there, and I'm trying to clarify those things. So thank you for that, for clarifying that. Next up, Vision 2026 is made up of plans originally begun from the previous superintendent and the 1820 and 2020 bond referendums. The very foundation of Vision 2026 began with consolidation in mind. And as I said before, yes, there were elements taken from the 2020 referendum. The 2018 referendum was just for the Career Center. The 2020 referendum did have some components, and as I said before, the projects were still needed. Even though they were some of the same projects, that doesn't mean they just went away. We still would have needed a Chester High School, an expansion of Louisville Elementary School, and the renovation and changes to Great Falls High School. The plan was amended and changed because the 2020 referendum had a fine arts center. That's no longer in the plan. It did not have a Louisville High School in part of the plan. That's coming in this plan. So when you look at both plans, that's what I want people to understand, that the plan is not the same. It still has some plan components, because regardless of what plan it is, it's going to include a Chester High School or a Louisville High School expansion, elementary school expansion. So there's still going to be components there. There are parts of it that have been changed. So it's not an exact same plan as 2020. And I can sit here and tell you that consolidation is not in plans for this board. That is not anything that's been discussed with the board or myself, the superintendent. That would be a recommendation that comes from me to the board at a board meeting of recommending consolidation, and that has not been discussed by this board. And again, I'll say this, we would not be asking for this kind of money to spend in the Great Falls community just to turn around and close the school. That doesn't make any sense. I would get to look you all in the face or anything if we did that. So again, the money's gonna be invested there to maintain those schools fully functioning in all three attendance zones. There's no plans at all to consolidate any schools in this county. Okay, here, they continue to borrow up to 8% without needing a referendum or public approval and managed to accumulate $43 million. Now, some of these I may have my chief officer chime in because I don't want to say the wrong, fully the wrong, articulate it the way our chief finance officer could. So would you like to comment on this?
Good evening. We are allowed by the state of South Carolina Constitution to borrow up to 80% of the assessed value, and that's what that 8% is. We do not accumulate that money because those bonds are borrowed for some maintenance projects and because a previous administration concentrated on one-to-one technology in Chester County. We are one of the few districts in the state of South Carolina that actually goes down to first grade with technology for our students. It's something that the board decided they were going to do several years ago, and we've moved forward with that. We do not accumulate that money, we borrow it and then pay it back within the year. So not sure where this $43 million that we are holding is. I promise you it's not in our bank account, it's not in our books. We do not actually accumulate those monies. We borrow them, pay them back every year. And that's what we do the one-to-one technology with and the some other capital needs.
Thank you.
So can we ask her a question then? So what happens to the money that is not used that has been borrowed?
Well, most often we borrow enough to do the projects that we want to do.
And so when Ms. Germain mentioned the 43 million, and in the previous it was 20 million, so these monies are not anywhere in unused.
No, ma'am, they're not sitting in an account anywhere.
So how is phase one of the Career Center being, where are the monies for phase one? Because you're not borrowing that.
Okay, here's the way that will work. 8% of our current capacity is about $8 million. So phase one can't be built in 1 year. It will take a couple of years to be built, and we will build it. It's almost like a home equity line. You borrow it, you build, you borrow some more, you build some more. So it's not like we borrow enough because we don't have the capacity with our 8% funding on the assessed value of the school district to borrow it all at one time.
So when the Career Center is being built in the coming year, let's say, you're going to only build $8 million worth of the $47 million of the Career Center, just you're going to build the parts that stick to the main part?
Well,
I don't understand how you're going to do that if you're not going to use the money that's appropriated through the bond referendum to build phase one, because you don't need phase 2 and 3 until you get phase one, at least the way I look.
That is correct. And we will use the 8% money for phase one and then use bond money, if it passes, to build 2 and 3.
But phase one, only 8 out of, let's say it says 48 million, so it's good, easy math. 1/6 of the phase one can be built. 5/6 cannot be built.
Correct?
So you will not be able to use phase 2 and 3 maybe until phase one is finished. So you'll still have to utilize somewhere else.
Based on our current capacity and our current debt service millage, it would take a couple of years to build phase one, as that is the only thing we're currently using 8% for.
That's clear. What is not clear is how you're going to build phase one, finish it, and then usually when you have a 1, 2, and 3, 2 comes after 1.
Well, it may be that we have to finish one before we start 2 and 3.
So it could be possibly 8 or 8. eight or so, I don't know, 6, 8, 48 inflation, let's add 7 years before
So
you
you hope not, but you never know, based, like I said, based on our current debt millage, it could take a couple of years to build phase one.
I have a question for you. Where did the money come from to buy that land over there at Louisville High School and the recent, where that money?
Okay, that money came from, we understand there've been a lot of talk, and I think there's a question in here about, yes, the referendum was denied and that land was in there. We understand that. That land was purchased with no bond money. It was built with current cash that the district had available to it.
Wait a minute. It was a referendum that kept getting paid and paid from taxpayers' money, right? Am I not right on
No,
that?
ma'am, last referendum we had was paid off in 2018.
But it just popped up. So where did the money come from?
You just said there was no cash on hand.
No, we had available cash in the bank.
Very reliable source that it was our tax money that we had paid off a bond, and that money kept going in, and it was just not being used.
The last bond was paid off in 2018.
We feel like when we voted no, y'all had a backup plan to purchase the land. Do you understand why we're trusting out one of y'all?
I can understand your frustration, but do know that no bond
Not
money.
one person up there do we trust.
Okay, man, can we just wait till we get, I'm trying to get to this, so we can get to the question and answer period. That's all, I respect and ask that, let us get to that period. I understand tensions are high, but I'm trying to make sure we keep this civil. That's all I ask for. There's no need for us to get out of line with, we're adults. Let's maintain ourselves and be civil with each other. That's all we're asking.
Uncivil.
Yeah, but can we get to that period? I understand that, I'm asking, please, let us get through to the end.
Sir, you're getting louder than anybody else on.
Oh, no, I'm because I'm in the mic. I apologize, because I'm in the mic. I'll turn this down, sorry, because I'm leaning over to it.
It's not the mic, it's you.
I have a question for the CFO, if that's okay.
Oh,
sorry, go ahead, sorry.
Look, listen, everybody, let the man finish, and then they will give us time to talk and ask our questions. Is that okay? Let's let him get done, so we can ask our questions.
We go to finish first, because she did start.
I was just fact checking here on what we're talking about and where the funding was coming from. That's the only thing I want to know is when that land is purchased, where that went.
Cash in our bank account.
There's our money.
How much money was it?
We paid $1.2 million for it. And it was not, I promise you, it was not used for bond money at all, period. It was cash we had available in the bank.
Is there a reason why it wasn't used for maintenance?
A lot of it is still being used for maintenance, but the board decided that we wanted the land for available building, and we had the cash on hand. We built it. We checked with our bond attorney, we checked with our auditor, we checked with our financial advisor, and they all advised us that we could use available cash in the bank. As long as we were meeting payroll and paying our bills, we had available cash, and we did that and bought the land.
After the county and the citizens voted no. Right.
That's
But
right.
we didn't use bond money.
That was the 8% that you borrowed that you paid back, and then the next year you borrowed it. You normally borrow the 8% on June the 30th, or near the end of June, so you borrow another part in July, because it's only 8% per year, right?
That's correct, but we didn't use the 8% money to pay for the bond. No, ma'am, no bond money was used to pay for the land.
I just remember y'all borrowing the money, the 8%, up to.
Our 8% has been,
Right.
8% has been used for one-on-one technology and other capital and maintenance projects,
All right, I would.
not the land.
Could you repeat that again, please, where the money came from for?
All right, no bond money was used for it.
Okay,
We had
where did it
available-
come from?
We had available cash in the bank.
Where did it come from?
Well, it could have come from,
Our tax money.
not, could have been part of your tax money, but we also have federal and state revenue that we get. We had paid the bills,
Okay.
and we had the money available.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you what's on most of our minds that live here and pay taxes, okay? most of the people here are right. When they said no on the referendum back when that land was an issue, they put out a notice, stop what you're doing. Nothing against anybody here. Listen to me. I know board and board members come and go and things change. Okay? But when the people speak, it doesn't matter if you got money from the state, if you got money from the federal government. Their money comes from the taxpayers. It comes from taxpayers. And when people say no, and that's why you're having a bad issue now, trying to pass another referendum, and people are against it. Now everybody's talking, a lot of hoodoo stuff, it looks like Saturday election, or a voting thing, I have never seen that in this county on a Saturday ever. That's number one. So people are talking about that. It's like somebody trying to hoodoo, because most of us good people who do work and pay our taxes normally take Saturday off and go somewhere, especially in May. I mean, my kids got a formal dance tomorrow. We're getting close to May. A lot of the old schools have stuff in May. You're going to have a referendum on Saturday. Hoodoo stuff. This is what the people of Chester are mad about. We have the second highest tax rate in this state. If we do this referendum, it's going to take our tax the most in this state, which is ridiculous for a population of 32,000. This is what the people are concerned about. So don't get me wrong, I'm not mad at anybody. This money is made every year, you get it in. You spent money on making technology good all the way to the first day, great. But guess what? A lot of that money could have been taken and put on new schools. Don't waste money. I mean, I haven't kept up, because I'm going to be honest, I have a 14-year-old, yes, I'm a little older, but I have a 14-year-old son. He doesn't go to the public schools. So I haven't kept up, and I should have, but I did some research. When we have kids that don't have enough books to take home with them, that is an issue. We pay taxes. We feel everybody needs to get their act together. Somebody, even on this 14th vote thing, most of us by word of mouth, get the candidate to put out a ballot so people actually know what to vote on, so the people know. I didn't even find out about this meeting until yesterday.
Me too.
Again, I haven't been involved, but that's fixing to change, because I'm fixing to get involved and start coming to these meetings and pay attention. Everybody here is accountable to the people. You are voted for. If you're on the board, you are voted for. You need to listen to your constituents and what they recommend.
And if we say no, we mean no. We mean no.
There's a reason for all these years, for all these taxes we've been paying, just like South Carolina, we have a holiday fund. Y'all should have a holiday fund. Or rainy day fund, whatever you want to call it. As much money as we are paying, we match every year on taxes. Most of the taxes go to the school system. If we pass a referendum, what will you give us? Will you pull back on the village and start latching out every year?
He's trying to show you.
No, yeah, I am, but these are the questions we have.
It's time to listen to what you have to say and not.
Well, I did that earlier and said that everybody kept talking about money. So that's where this is coming up, money.
But we listen to the presentation.
Okay, look, one thing, there was $1.8 million sitting in a bank account, right, to buy land. But how many children had no books? There was things that could have been maintained. You could have repaired some things. My children wanna go, they're grown, we wanna go on a family vacation. We cost $2,000 for a week for the house. But you know what, my own home needs repairs. So guess what, I'm not getting to go on vacation. So, you know, we're not even going back to have a Brazilian restaurant. But there are things that need to be maintained. There could have, that $1.8 could have went somewhere else. Excuse me, turn around. I'm talking to you. No, that's responsibility, that's being a responsible parent. And an adult is taking care of my land, my home, budgeting. Oh, I can't do that because I have this. We voted no on that land. And it feels like, I feel like, y'all had a backup plan. But we're gonna let them think that they made a decision. And then boom, because see, I know more about that land. I know a little bit more about that. I'm not even gonna bring that up because I have some connections. Because that's what even makes me even madder to bail somebody out. But no, that money could have been spent on some of these other things.
Okay, I'm gonna move on.
My note is no. And I would tell everybody.
This claim is $263 million plus the $43 million on hand is over $400 billion to spend as the district sees fit. If we're going to discuss that.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, repeat that.
Go back.
This is a claim.
This is a claim of what we've been hearing, and that's what we're sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, that's, sorry.
No, we don't have, no, if we had that, we wouldn't be here right now.
Yes, sir.
We do not have this money. This is just a claim that's out there that we have, if this bond passes, plus the $43 million we have on hand, which we don't, which was Jeanette explained we don't have, we would have this amount of money that the district to do what it sees fit. And this is a fact for that. And when it comes to law, when it comes to referendum, we're not able to, we can't change the projects from what is already listed on the ballot. We have to use the funds for what the voters approve it for. And so we keep hearing that as well, we cannot, so every project in this plan will be funded as is written. And there was some as well, another one on here that some schools will not get built. No, because we have a construction management firm, it comes with a guaranteed maximum price. I mean, whatever the prices are that we have here, if there's any cost overruns or anything else, they will have to absorb that based on our contract. So this amount is all the district will have to pay. We will not pay anything over what's currently listed for each project. So yes, every project listed in this referendum will be completed.
Can you flip back to that question one time?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so the claim, the district will still close Great Falls High and force students to drive or get on a bus to Chester, even though there will be significant growth there. This is back with that. Again, this is true. The district, our goal is to keep, as I mentioned before, to keep all schools functioning. There's no plans to close any schools in this district. The Great Falls population, it is a low population, grades 6 through 12 currently in the middle school campus right now, and they still have room to grow within there. The new additions there will also allow for growth as well in that area. But there's no plans to close the Great Falls schools or any schools are to consolidate. Now, the funny thing is, we haven't said as a district, that of course that's out there, and we've been asked, why don't we consolidate the Great Falls and Louisville? The district has never said that, but we're being asked that. Why don't we do it? So from my understanding prior to the last referendum, I think, of course, the community was against that. That might have been an option on the previous referendum, I'm assuming, or a discussion in one, but this time that is not on the table to consolidate any schools in the district.
I have a question to that. The State Department of Education has that they're building one school in Chester County to house 1,500 students and no other schools. Can you please answer why?
Yeah, and we saw that, and I was trying to find it online, we talked about this, I don't know
It's under
where.
the capital improvement plan on the South Carolina DOE website.
And and maybe a previous year when that was being
That's
considered.
the most recent year available online, so nothing has changed even when I called their office. Nothing has been submitted for multiple schools in Chester County to the State Department of Education. So Answer Chester is promoting 2 new schools, an addition on another school, and the State Department of Education does not know that you're building this.
Because right now, we can't build anything until the referendum passes. So we can't, there's nothing to update.
But you have to let them know in advance. that
No, we
you're-
don't.
But we're saying we can't do that until we pass the referendum, because we
Yeah.
don't have the money. So they're not gonna tell them they're gonna build if they not.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Thompson wants to respond to that. Ma'am, you?
Every 5 years, the State Department of Education solicits from every school district what their building plans, potential building plans would be, regardless of whether they're in planning or thinking about planning or have a bond referendum on the ballot or don't have a bond referendum on the ballot. I think the last one that we looked at was 2015. I know that the new one is just coming out through the state, will be this year, because we were involved with assessing some school districts, not Chester, but some. So the new one will come out in the next several months, and it'll update whatever was asked of each one of the school districts, including Chester there. So the last one that was done, I think, was in between 2013 and 2015.
Here's 2016 is what the date was of the day.
Okay, the performance of the solicitation to school districts. They do all that, and then they compile all that into a format that gets published. So 2016 was when it was published. 2022 will be when the next iteration is, and it's almost like a survey.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's why I figured something that was old, but I didn't know how far back that went on that. But yeah, we'll be sent that. Our chief operations officer will complete that for the district on what the plans would be at that time when they submit that to us to complete. Thank you, ma'am, for asking that question and getting it clarified. Appreciate that.
I've been asking the whole time.
All right, this says Louisville gets a new high school on the same location with no room for growth. Again, as mentioned, the design path for future growth there, and again, the building, of course, the court will be, and you can jump on those two for 600, but again, we can increase the number of students in the class, it can hold more, and if we need to add on to that site, we'll be able to. Anything you want to add to that, Bart, size?
I just something I see this a lot. Where are you getting trends for growth? Because statistics for the state show a negative 0.19 growth rate. And so, no offense, but there is no growth. It's negative growth.
Well, this is the question I was asked, a statement, I'm just responding to it. That's not what we're saying. These claims are what we've been asked.
You go to the next statement, I believe says trends for growth.
Mhm.
Trends in growth. It's negative growth.
Right, but we're just saying
For
here,
growth.
yes, sir, we're just saying here, if the trends dictate that, then we will add. There'll be room to add on to the campus. It's not saying that the current trends say that.
Obviously,
Yes.
okay.
It's not saying it is saying it, it's saying we take it into account when we look at it to add on to it. Yes, sir.
So, can I ask a question? I know I couldn't read everything, so you have a thing. So what is your growth that you're looking at for each school? So, because he's right on statistics, every 10 years, we lose 1,000 people in this county.
And it's aging. So that means the student population, and most families are not having large families these days, they're having 1 or 2 children. So the trend is downward in a big way.
But I also realize we do have some programming like here in the Richburg area, maybe in Great Falls with all the things out in the recreation stuff, maybe. But what are you predicting on the road?
So, he's right as far as like, we just didn't want to pinhole a school, a new school that can't have any potential growth in the future. That's all that is you can add on to it if things occur that would cause growth. What if you get a new factory in town and a lot of people come and that affects enrollment down the street? Well, you've got to have a place to build it. We just didn't want to make it unbuildable, not be able to add on to in the future. As far as growth trends go, you're about right. The district did do a demographic study and it found it to be very flat. It had previously decreased pretty significantly over the last 30 years. What it actually found was a little bit of rebound on.
In 2014, there was a huge surge, it looked like an anomaly.
It was,
Past that.
and then it leveled off, But as far as the growth projections go, you are absolutely right. There are some zones within those 3 zones that are expected to get a little bit more growth than others.
So that's why I'm asking, kind
Yes.
of, what is your percentage you're looking at on the growth? Because I know we're looking at a couple of years before schools are finished. So what are you predicting
Yep.
for the growth percentage-wise?
So I'd have to do the math, but I can tell you, Louisville High School is about 400 students, give or take, right now. It's planned for to be built for 600, so you'd have to increase 200 students between now and when it's built and occupied. The new one is built and occupied to be anywhere close to capacity, and our growth rate doesn't allow for that 200 anywhere close to the next 5 years, probably within the window of 10. So it is planned to have growth for the next.
So they built this later.
Yeah, all right, so I know this area, because it is going, got a lot of people coming from Charlotte and other places. But what about like Great Falls? What are you looking at on the percentage there? Because you're not going to have the growth there like you are in this area. Louisville.
Again, I'd have to do the math, but since the existing high school building is not being utilized right now, all those students are really in that middle school side, so it is a blended campus there, and that's able to handle the amount of students that are there now. Really, the Great Falls project is to take that building down and build something smaller in its place while retaining some of those academic things that it does not currently have room for. It needs an area for ROTC, for instance, so that you can have some, so that you can pull that program out of where it is in the existing classroom side of it, and you can gain those classrooms back. So you can use it for science, or you can use it for career and technology education, what have you, from that activity.
We've asked about that some too with economic development too when it comes to the Great Falls. I think people thinking the Whitewater Center will bring growth. You think that's, people just drive in and drive out. It's not ones who they don't see that bringing neighborhoods development.
It won't bring the buzz, like I said, like here in Louisville,
Mhm.
but it will, in the long run, it will. If it becomes popular, then you'll have other people coming here because you'll have more shops opening, you'll have other new construction. I mean, it's happening now, because
But
I
that-
kind of working outside, so the housing is already starting to pick up in that area, like new construction or rebuilding old houses and stuff. So that is starting now. So, and if it does, it will grow.
And if we need to, in that, long term, for that area, again, the current facility will allow, it allows for expansion at that site, at the Great Falls, and I can eventually get back to that slide. Those, at the end of those hallways, it's just land that we could just extend out and add classrooms to that site.
What's the present attendance now at Warsaw High School?
It's about 400.
400 by 400. 400.
389 according to the principal. 389 today.
Great Falls? Oh, I'm trying to get more people saying, I'm trying to keep up with you. My chief is trying to help me out and keep up with who's asking, so.
How many
forgive
did
me.
you say? My hearing is not good.
Right, now I'm too, sir. I'm trying to keep up who's asking, so. 389 at Louisville High School.
389?
389, yes, sir.
Okay, then some of the numbers that we're seeing are saying 499 on some of the sheets. The one that came out for the present year, so with the one that you use to evaluate how many teachers you're going to need, that's saying 499. And if that's the case, and what's the new school going to hold, 600? That's only 100. And if that's the case, we've got 3 subdivisions that's already underway. And that means that you're going to have a total of somewhere close to 2,000 new homes in the next 5 years. If you got that, and you say that there's going to be 1 student per family in our school system, and you divide that by 3 over that 5-year period, then that means you're going to have about 68 new students per year going to Louisville High School. At $4.99 and 168 per year, in 2 years' time, you're going to reach your 600, or 3 years' time. That means we're going to have another bond issue, am I correct, in adding on an addition to the schools. Now, that's just one student per family. And I don't think that that's going to happen. I think it's going to be more than one pupil per family in these 2,000 new students. So we're behind the ball before you even get started. The whole thing right now is trust on this school board. We can't trust the school board to do what the people want done. So you're in the hole before we even start. You got a real problem here with integrity.
I feel like, again, listen, I would like to speak to you, sir, about this document. I'm not, in my HRT, are you familiar with this document of $4.99? I don't recall anything we put up with $4.99, so if you have that, please share that with us so we can see what that is. I don't recall us having a document of $4.99 on it for Louisville High School, for staff. But we can speak to you after this on that. Mr. Thompson?
Does anybody have a number of how many houses are actually coming in the very near future that are being under construction? I know back over on Edgewood Road behind, beside Dr. Stephanie's office, there's a bunch all the way down in there, and they're roads are paved, plumbing's there, it's just a matter of throwing them up, and you know how quick that gets done. But then if you go on down to Orlando, we've got more here, more here, all the way to Edgewood, and Edgewood, most of them. How many houses total does anybody know that is proposed to be built just in the Richmond area? I live here and I see it every day.
Robert Long, that works here, gave me a sheet, and there's a moratorium on building right now from the county council. On the one you're talking about, Winchester, there are 1,500 single-family homes. There are, between those homes to Menendez Road, there are 450 apartments. And behind the 450 apartments are 500 townhomes. No, but that's just there. That doesn't count Lennar or the LGI. And they're, it's roughly 3,300 homes when you add in, go on down to 223 and the value come back, that have been approved. And 1/3 of those will be built within 3 years, or they lose their rights to be a planned development, and it has to go back to R2 or some junk. So roughly 1,300. You can find that out, and I can give it to you. Y'all can get it from Robert Long.
Yeah. I was waiting because I don't want to cut anyone off, but I don't want anyone to sit down and being rude, but I was waiting to respond. I was close to 4,000, but I was told.
You were told 4,000?
Close to 4,000, that's currently approved, is what I was. I didn't want to cut anyone off, so I waited to.
Well, I had 3,300 from the things that he gave me, and that was a sort of a, yes, I guess.
Well, when you think of the number of homes, that doesn't equate to students in every home. There's a multiplier that's used for that, it's like point something. Mr. Thompson did.
0.5, 0.6. It's 0.5. A demographer told me this, so I'm not telling you anything that's just my opinion. 0.5 to 0.6 is the rule of thumb for every household. So, for instance, not every house is going to have that one kid. Not every house is going to have 2 kids. Some houses are going to have no kids. Multiple houses are going to have folks that are not that don't have kids in school. So when you take all that into account, when a demographer does an actual forecast, it equates to about 0.5 to per household.
In the presentation that's been gone on before we started this, you actually used the number 1.2. The typical number is 1.3 in public schools. The 0.5 that you're talking about, I haven't seen that number anywhere yet. The 1.2 is actually printed in some of the presentation documents that have been going on for 6 months.
Documents that we put out was 1 point something?
The demographic study that was done, yeah, it was 1.2. The one that was done, the last referendum was 1.3. So, students in public school per household.
And I think there's a different multiplier based on home type as well, too. They have for the mobile home, single family multiplying, they're different ones, so they might be average. I'll have to look at that to see that, but I know we have had a demographic study since I came in 2020, so they'll have to be adjusted to what those currently are.
And it's by age too. So if they're age varying population, then that multiplier is different than all the other ones that don't have kids that would apply to a school district. So at the end of the day, you get a blended rate, and that's where you get that 0.5, 0.6.
And most of these homes are starter homes or second homes. So
So even with that, you get a blend.
right, but you're gonna have more kids in a starter or second home situation than you are people at my age who are 59. We don't, my daughter graduates this year and I'm an old parent. So people like me will be having more kids that are in the upper, people longer in their careers are gonna have a third or fourth home, not first or second. But anyway.
All right, next claim, there's no guarantee that the attendance zone will remain the same or that the project will be funded and completed equitably. I've stated before that the plan, that the way things are set up with the plan, the guaranteed maximum pricing, all projects will be completed. There's still no plans or no discussion at all to change the attendance lines. There's no need to do that, to change the attendance lines. So everything will remain the same. The project will be built as stated in the referendum based on the contract we have with the construction management at-risk firm. They absorb any cost overruns or anything that escalates. They absorb that. The county will be the highest on school tax in the state, which you've already discussed. Based on that list, most likely we will. The district has not increased that the millage on the debt side in a lot of years. So most likely we will be at the top. We never said we wouldn't be. Claim Chester County Schools will not maintain its facilities, much like the current facilities. You have to look at, again, this is my chief operations officer was here to, he could more eloquently state this, so I'll try to do a little justice on this. Basically, these facilities, the age of them, systems and things they wear out. We do our best to replace them, but it's over time, anything with a home. A lot of things can go out. You have your electrical systems, and there are a lot of different things that were done when these facilities were built in the 70s that are not, of course, they over time, they age. They age with time, and I'm sure none of our schools probably had the entire electrical systems replaced fully in the school system. There's sewer issues, roofing issues. Of course, we have several schools that have off-site athletics, within the Great Falls area in Chester. They have athletic fields that are not on-site. They have parking lot issues as well. And again, with the facilities, a lot of it causes concern with our technology upgrade, things that we would like to do for our students. We're not able to because of the current infrastructure in those schools right now. So, yes.
Speaking on that one topic on the previous slide, my home I bought in Chester County, Great Falls, roughly 5 years ago. My home was built in 1953, over 50 years old. When I bought the home, it was not in bad shape structurally sound, but it needed some repair. Over the years, over the last year and a half, my wife and I spent almost $100,000 on remodels and upgrades. Just because our facilities are in bad shape does not mean we need to spend almost $100 million on building new. Matthew, the book, I'm a Bible-believing man. The book of Matthew and the book of Luke states, if you be fruitful over small things, I'll make you ruler over many. Luke states, if we can be trusted, if you can be trusted over the little things, you can be trusted over the big things. It's not just you guys. It's Chester County as a whole, for years, has not maintained these buildings. You don't buy a new car just because your oil needs to be changed. My daughter last year done a video of the Great Falls High School. My son plays for Great Falls High School. Will not play again this year because of the conditions of the equipment that's there. He suffered a bad head injury, bad concussion last year because the helmets and gears in such disarray. But instead of you guys taking some of the money that you have to repair these buildings in a timely manner, I would love to see the homes that you guys have. I guarantee you if a roof leaks on your house, you're going to get it fixed. I guarantee you if electrical problems go bad in your house, you'll get it fixed. The pictures that you guys are taking, you've taken it in such a way that it makes it look horrible. If you'll go to YouTube, look up my name, Jody Knight, you'll see a video that my daughter made for the football team. Those pictures was taken in such a way that it shows all the beauty that Great Falls High School has. You can make any picture look any way you want to. Any picture look any way you want to. How many of you guys live in Chester County? Just simple question. I know a couple of you guys do. Are you willing to move to this county and pay our taxes? I can all barely afford what we have now. You're pricing me out of my county. You're pricing me out of the county that I love. Period. And that's what it's all about. I want the best for my town. I want the best for my kids. I pulled my kids out of the public school system and have for the last 6 years. Be over 7, my daughter would graduate high school with 2 years of college done. Why? Because the elementary school would not push her. The elementary school deemed my son, it was under his leadership, this young man right here, I love him to death. He's the only one in the school system, public school system, that helps my kids. My son is dyslexic. I suffer from dyslexia. They wanted to label him retarded. He's got to know it's a different way of learning. You know what the school system told me? You guys, you'll be telling my wife and I, it takes too much time to diagnose. I don't care, that's y'all's job. But guess what? I've done it. My wife done it. My kids are getting a proper education. My son now will graduate next year to be a paramedic. He's not retarded. He's not handicapped. But you guys said he was. Y'all hold things down. Quit taxing us out. Because if this referendum passes, my house is gone. I'm selling it. I'm out. I'll go to another county that pays lower taxes than this, with a better school district. Be fruitful over what you have. Let us trust you with what you have, what we have now. Then when you want to pass this, it'll be a lot easier for us to trust to be there. Thank you. I'm done.
I just had one comment on that last one. I'm sure many of y'all go into the Colorado government building here in town across from Honolulu. I worked for Honolulu for 20 years, and Honolulu bought Southside Elementary School, and it was just a mess. And they put $1 million into that building, and I'm sure that most of y'all go through there, pay your taxes, go to county meetings and things there, and it is possible to take a regular school and turn it into a gym. Because it's a beautiful school now, and a beautiful building now, but it was just a regular old elementary school. Look back to probably in the 50s, maybe earlier than that. It's very old. My daughter went to grammar school there for a while. But it's possible, not just look at that school and say, oh, we should tear it down, start over again. Because if when you walk through that government building, you're in with that grammar school.
Thank you for sharing that. Mr. Thompson, you want to touch on the difference in square footage price of renovation versus restructuring? There's difference in that?
Yeah, so we do look at that for heavy, there are different levels of renovation costs, right? So it's whether you're going in there and just painting the walls and putting new flooring in, new tile flooring, new carpet flooring, making the lighting better with its current system. So that's one type of kind of renovation. And the district does that every single year with the funds that they have for maintenance. They maintain their schools, they clean them, they try to patch, if they find roof leaks, they try to patch problems with HVAC systems. So there's an amount of money every single year to a limit that they have that they use for maintenance. So that's one type of renovation that's done day in and day out. The more you get towards fully renovating a facility, there's several levels. So that light renovation, all the way to that heavy renovation. To make the distinction between the two, I as a designer, I have to, through the state of South Carolina, make it code compliant to today's standard. That is tremendously difficult for a 50-year-old building. And what that turns into is it does turn into, look, you can disagree with me or not, I'm just trying to say that I've done it over and over again. Every time you do that, you do have to meet current codes, and current codes are required at school buildings. That's what makes them different than a home, because you do have the public coming in. You do have a very vulnerable population there, and so there's a consistency and a desire to really make those places safe. So meeting the current code is required of heavy renovation. And when we have heavy renovation, you usually have a much higher cost. I don't know if that answers what you were talking
Yeah,
about.
absolutely. It's like what you mentioned it.
Back here.
Clover High School just recently changed out every bit of their wiring in their high school and replaced it with LED lights for a whole lot less than what you're trying to say that renovation is costing. I mean, when you're renovating your lights, I'm not going to look at your plumbing and tell you you have to be up to date on plumbing because you're working on lights. So you're trying to mix the code, the new coming up the code, but you're not using it quite the right way. Yes, if you're working on your lights, you're going to have to bring them up to code books now, but they're not going to look at your plumbing when you're working on your lights. So your plumbing's not going to necessarily have to be changed to come up to any kind of new code.
I completely agree with you on that statement, absolutely. So if you're just doing a lighting replacement, in your example, you don't have to change a single electrical system to change from fluorescent to LED. So there's no code implication there. There's no demand implication. But as soon as you start changing walls or doors, or adding windows, or making different paths, trying to make safety improvements like adding sprinkler systems or adding fire alarm systems, then you do have to take it through code. You know,
They did all of that. You need to look at what Clover High School did about 4 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Because they went to and renovated their whole building out there. So that's something y'all need to look into, and they didn't try to have a bond or nothing like they're trying to push on us.
And again, I'm gonna say this, I'm about done, we're getting late. Again, it comes back to trust. What we want to see as taxpayers, I want to see a plan from you guys over like the next 20 years. We shouldn't be trying to build all these schools at one time. This thing should have been planned years ago. We got two schools here we're going to build in these 5 years. We got two that we're going to do in these 5 years. And go that route instead of waiting to where the schools are needing such major work. Don't get me wrong. Most of us know the schools need to be worked on, and major. Major renovations are very costly on commercial buildings. It's basically gutting everything but the walls and starting over. But again, they can't do the whole school because you got students in it. It still takes about the same amount of time as building a new school. So you have to have a thing. We know. But again, we would like to see a plan. Me as a Chester County citizen is asking you, I hope you're taking it. We want a plan for 20 years or 25 years on what you're going to do to keep this from happening again.
That's right.
We want to know what you're doing with our money to make one of the smallest counties in the state have the highest taxes.
We're not doing anything.
You really think that we're going to pay for that? What y'all do, how many people, older people, do you think you're going to put out of their houses? Because they're the biggest income and they can't pay. Even these people, and they say, oh, well, when you get 60, I'm getting close to that age. You can go sign like, whatever it's called, anybody knows what it's spelled or whatever. But they make it so high now, you still have to pay. Because everything's going up. And I'll give you a good example. Everybody was talking about, somebody's a 50-year-old house. But ain't nobody in this place got a house older than mine. My house was broke down and moved in 1861. But the house actually goes back before the Revolutionary War. That's a log house. But Chester taxes me like my house was built in 1970. Again, it just doesn't play at you, and nobody is picking you out individually. Please understand that. But over the years, it's been bad planning. And now the people are telling you, they're holding you accountable. They want a plan. They want to see it. And explain yourself. Or you ain't getting the damn referendum. Sorry for that. We're not going to vote for it. Twice the thing's come up, twice we turned it down. You can try to sneak it in on Saturday, it's going to get voted down. Again, we know schools need to be worked on, but we need to see something ahead. Hopefully I'll live another 25 years. We need to see a plan because I'll be paying the taxes for them 25 years. Does it make sense to y'all?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, I'm gonna.
I have a question. Okay, so in the district, total scores for reading, 27.8% of our children are met or exceeding. That's the whole district. In math, 22% met or exceeding. In Algebra 1, scoring C or higher, 28.2%. So my biggest question is, how is this $263 million going to raise those test scores?
Give us a second. Regardless of what facilities are in, we start to educate our schools. We're doing the best we can. And when nobody's saying that these new schools will, and that's a magic pill to fix what you just read. Regardless of the referendum pass or not, we're still going to bust our butts in our schools to try to improve the quality of education in this county. We're going to do that.
You know, we will be the highest in the state. Our return on investment is really, really low as it is with those scores. So that would be my question on that. The second question, there's a rumor going around that the CFO is resigning. Is that true?
I am retiring.
Retiring, okay. Okay, so we're going to go into
30 years of service.
Thank you. So we're going to go into this bond referendum without a CFO, or are you guys already hired?
No, man, we have to have a CFO. We will.
Well,
It's
that's
posted.
why I'm
Yes,
asking the
ma'am.
question.
Just post it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, it's posted. Okay, all right. My third question is, will paying this money give us more access to the board? So for 2 years, you know, we haven't been able to see our board. That just opened up 2 months ago. I have been waiting to address our board on why I decided to homeschool my child. And it was really, really sad that I had to wait 2 whole years. Now, you know, they're only allowing 12 people in. So is paying this money going to give us access to the board?
Ma'am, the board meetings are held the fourth Mondays. They're open. I assure you, we don't have 12 people in.
Okay, so more than 12 people can come in and access
That's
the
what
board
I'm saying. We
without
don't
paying
have
this
12.
money.
We don't have 12.
Do what?
I said, we haven't had 12. So you're welcome to come to board meetings on the fourth Monday of each month. We haven't had 12. That is the cap right now. But what I'm telling you is you can come.
Oh, I did, yeah. That's what I was asking though, is that y'all have that cap on it at 12, and so.
And at 4:30.
Right.
Okay, again, I think we're getting off topic. I respect that we're keeping to the referendum. We're getting off topic, guys. I don't respectfully, I'm being nice as I can. Let's stay on top of the
I thought this
referendum.
was the topic. I'm so sorry. I thought that this whole thing was the topic because my issue is I pay such high taxes already, and then I didn't have access to the school board to be able to even speak in front of their faces to tell them what was going on with my child and my situation. So $263 million more, I believe is pretty relevant to only 12 people being able to come in to see the school board. businesses on your credit card statement online. My question is, if it's for small business educators, why is the school system paying into that actual program?
Ma'am, their charges across all these schools. I can't sit here and answer that question. That's something you have to talk to the district office about.
Okay.
That would be fair to me to try to answer that for every school we have, every department. That's not fair.
Well, I'm so sorry, I wasn't asking you specifically, I was asking the whole board, so.
The board?
And the CFO, so.
Yeah, so that's something, if you come to district office, we will gladly answer that. We've been doing it all week. Mr. Brian Garner can ask you. We've been getting sent charges, everybody can look at our statements, we answer the questions. There's nothing we can hide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last questions, we probably, we kind of already went into, we're already at 7 o'clock, so I'm going to wrap it up, but I want to still, but some of you, we still have questions, comments, I still want to give you a little time to do that. Last, I think this is the last one. It is a conflict of interest for family members of district staff to participate in activities advocating for the passing of referendum. Again, that claim is false. Private citizens not employed by the district, including family members, can advocate at any point or any time they choose to. School staff can as well, beyond their workday in this district as well. So that's, we want to make sure that's clear. We have the state statute stated there, that state says that as well. All right, so I'll read this little slightly slow statement. We kind of already have asked a lot of questions, but if we can give about 10 minutes, but we have to kind of clear out. We're already over our time. I don't want to get ran out of here. All I ask them that again, I get it, that everyone, I'll ask them to be civil with each other, share our comments. I get it, we're going to agree to disagree on things, on what's the best options. All right, that's why we're here. If we don't hear from you, we wouldn't have this meeting. We wouldn't have this. So I'll ask that we remain respectful of each other. And again, we're going to agree to disagree on certain things, and what needs to be done, what should be done. But that's what we're having, is we can still hear more feedback. And if this, for some reason, this doesn't pass, then we know we need to look at moving forward if we try to plan in the future referendum if that were to happen. So again, I'll ask that we hold off on personal attacks and keep it to what's factual, what we have going on here. Again, I think we all in it for the same reason. We want to do what's best for students of this county. We all do. Of course, we look at it from different angles, but again, I'll show you that's why I'm here. That's why everybody up here is what we're here for. We come here every day. We want to do what's best for the children of this county. We're not here to destroy or tear down anything. And so all actually, we're here, we want to hear from you all, which we're doing. But again, I ask that you keep off the attacks and let's remain calm. There's no need to get your blood pressure boiled. We don't have to do that. Come on, let's be civil with each other. That's all we ask. We're not perfect, we're not perfect, we're not. So,
Right fast, it's just kind of lay on the heart. Talking about keeping the schools safe, building new schools and keeping them safe, which my daughters graduated and graduated from college. But I have friends who have had children in the high school, and they have dealt with bullies. And bad. This one, my best friend's daughter was sent to the emergency room. If you can't control the bullies in our high school, there ain't no school you can build that will control and keep our children safe. I mean, there's a major problem, even in the middle school. I substituted when I was in between nursing and I didn't know where I was going to go back to the teacher. I had 2 girls jump me in a classroom, put their fingers in my face, and threaten me. I called the principal's office up to the front. No security guard ever came to me to help me. I just had to let go. And I said, God, you get me out of this classroom, I will never come back. And I never substituted again. And I wouldn't tell nobody to go into education now. That was awful. Nobody come to my defense. And if I had hit one of them girls after they hit me, I'd have been on Channel 9 News and I'd have been locked up. So you can build all the schools you want, put all the security systems you want, but until you give them kids, hold them accountable, there's nothing you will be able to stop it. Because it's bad at Chesterfield School. The boys and the high school, my best friend's daughter.
thank you, ma'am. We want to go, so we won't get run out here.
One more thing real quick. I want to apologize to the entire school board. I think there's some educators in here as well. You guys do a fantastic job with education. Mr. Sumter, that's your name, right?
Yes.
I love you, sir. You are the highlight of my kids' public school career. I know you guys are being attacked. We are passionate about our taxes, our kids, most importantly, just like you guys are passionate about what you guys want to do. I want to apologize on behalf of whoever will stand behind him. I'm sorry. I know I've been, yes, my blood pressure is boiling. But each one of you guys are in my prayers. And for the educators that's in the room, God bless you. If you want to pass a bond on my behalf that you want my vote for, pay these people more money. Give them the tools, the educational tools. My high school does not need another football field. It don't need another gym. Educate them. Don't get them ready for athletics. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And we are working on that, on the pay piece. We're waiting on the state right now, but we are.
Can I ask that, Bob?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The first one says, the board to empower committees not to receive so much money. Constructing, equipping, furnishing phases 2 and 3 of the new Chester County Career and Technology Center. The next one goes on to the high school, and then it says demolition of the high school and demolition of Louisville High School, but it doesn't say demolition of the Career Center. So we are not planning to demolish the Career Center?
I consider that part of the Chester High School complex.
It didn't say complex.
Okay.
It said, see, this is where there's some questions for people, and a lot of people ask me, and I'm a teacher and I appreciate everything that y'all do too. But it says, only y'all read it, and then you can't use this money, because it does not specifically say that you're going to demolish the Career Center. It does not specifically say how much money you're going to use to construct, equip, and furnish a new Chester High School. Your little chart does, but the bond question does not. So it is not specific.
Ms. Reed, the bond question and in advice from our bond attorney, based on some other examples across the state, if you actually put an amount in the bond question and it is different, then we're criticized. It happened in another school district and they were chastised to heaven and back. So that's why the dollars
totally understand.
It's just the total itself.
But you say that we're only going to spend that much that was in the chart. That is not the way it may end up.
It won't be more than that. It may be less than that.
It may be less than that.
It won't be more than that.
So you can build phase 1, and the sheet that you had, somebody handed out through the school, you have them out here. It's a project fact sheet. It was sent home with the kids before the holidays. On the back of it, it tells you about Chester County Career Center, and this is about Vision 2026. What you see highlighted right there, some of you can see it. All of that is project phase 1. It is not Vision 2026 as far as what's going to be bought. And then on Louisville High School, it says a new athletic stadium. That is not what your other fact sheet said. There is, you said bleachers and update the goalposts and the synthetic carpet and the track, but it is not a new stadium. And that's what it says right here. So what are we to believe? In other words, this went out to parents, like some of these parents over here, that didn't even know it was a bond referendum. And now they're thinking that they're going to get a new, and that's going to sell it to some of them. It didn't sell it to me, but it's misinformation.
That's not the intent of this district to put out do misinformation. You must read that, from what I'm saying, those things will be, are new. Will be. Am I saying that wrong?
Some of, well, the facilities that surround the existing stadium, let's say Louisville High School, for instance.
But it's not a new athletic stadium. You're keeping the whole site, you're keeping the whole field, you just open it with something else. It's not new. The one at Chester High School is going to be a brand new one. And it says right here, new.
New track.
No, I have no argument with it. I'm just saying that this is a mistake. This is a mistake. And it's misinformation that's being sent out by the school district. What?
It's new. If you tear your house down and build a new house in the exact same place, it's still a new house.
But they're not tearing down all of the stadium, so it's not gonna be new. It's like,
Build the track and everything.
it's a new track.
There's another one, getting rebuilding this.
It's a new track, but not a new stadium.
We're going to ask you a question. We want to get right out of here, guys, so, yes, I'm going to let you give us some information.
I just want to go back to the 221 where you got two phases, where you're gonna, $220 million and $43 million, right? And you touched on it in the slide, but for the Louisville portion, if only the 220 passes, that's the school. That school is going on the existing athletic fields. If the 43 does not pass, how do you make that work? You touched on it, but again,
Okay, yes, sir, good question. I'll clarify that. Those fields at Louisville High are part of question one because we have to move the fields to build a new school.
but that's, kind of
Yes.
back to her point, that does not say that in the meeting. So I do see where there's some confusion on that. The second question, where it says, pardon me here, constructing equipment furnishing and athletic facilities at the Louisville High School. So I'm thinking those athletic field is all part of this, so I don't see that as a person, so it does seem a little odd.
Yeah, and that's not, again, it's not anybody's intent, but understand, we're not going to try to put things out here to try to deceive the entire county. We have more better integrity than that to try to deceive. I can't speak what's done in the past, but I can tell the superintendent's district, I'm not going to lead the district to deceive anybody. That was not our intent, but yet, to answer your question, those fields there are part of question one, only because we have to move them to build a new site.
So
Yes,
if
sir.
only the 220 were to pass in the Louisville area,
Yes.
they're going to need new fields.
Those fields, yes. Thank you for clarifying that. I thank you guys for being one of our time. I apologize if some of you didn't get to speak out. Hopefully we all were able to interject throughout, but again, if you have any other questions or concerns, anything, please reach out to the district office. We'd be glad to meet with you. A lot of you here have done that in the past. We're willing to do that. And again, all I ask is again, as we move forward, if this doesn't pass, still just continue to work with us. That's all we can do to try to see what we can change for the next time around. That's all I ask of you. Thank you for your time. Have a great evening.